Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannie Ralston, and I'm the founder of NextTribe. And I'm so excited that you guys are here. I can't begin to tell you, these two, Sherry Amatenstein and Amy Ferris, are two of my favorite people, and to have them both in the same room, wearing the same color, and is such a treat.
We did
for
not
us.
consult.
We did not. We did not consult. This is true.
We are doing this because Miss Amy Ferris just published a new book, and it is fabulous because of, yeah, there it is. Because as we all know,
It's a Mighty Gorgeous book.
Mighty Gorgeous is the name of the book. And I think we all know how mighty gorgeous Amy Ferris is, and how inspirational she is, and how fucking glorious and fucking messy and all that.
I was wondering who would get the
Fucking
first
word. I love that.
fucking in there.
I got the first one in.
Yes, you did, Jeannie. Jeannie got the first fuck in.
Just
Yes,
to make
that's
just
the title
make
of a new
everybody
book.
make everybody feel comfortable here. So
That is the title of a new book. Jeannie got the first fuck in. That's it.
I like
I
it.
still have a
That's
fuck to
fantastic.
give, I guess.
You got a lot of fucks to get. Don't worry.
Anyway, so everybody, I'm gonna start this off, but before, I know a lot of you are big fans of Amy's, and you might have a lot of questions. What you can do is, Amy and Sherry are gonna speak for a little bit, and you can write your questions in the chat on the side. And then when they get to a stopping point, I'll call on you, and you can unmute and ask your question yourself of Amy and or Sherry.
Absolutely.
So first
The
of all,
other
I want
pink one. Yeah.
a lot of you might know Sherry, but she's been a wonderful writer for us and a journalist. She's a New York City-based therapist. She's written 3 books, or maybe more by now.
Or
But,
who's counting?
she's edited the anthology, How Does That Make You Feel? True Confessions from Both Sides of the Therapy Couch, which was fabulous. And she's also done a lot, besides writing for us, she's also done a lot of Zoom events where we, after the 2020 election, we talked about healing the divide, or how to go from a really terrible year, a fucked up year, 2020, and how to get, what did we call it? How to recover from a shitstorm of a year. So anyway, so she's a very thoughtful, wonderful interviewer, and I'm so glad you're here, Sherry. Thank you.
Oh, I'm really happy to be here. I love both of you dearly. And Amy and I first met like probably 10, 12 years ago, around Marrying George Clooney was out. When we met at like a woman's writing thing upstate. And Amy and I have like done events together also about empowering women and writing, and and Amy is just a force, as we all know. So she's written, well, when we met, she had just published Marrying George Clooney, Confessions from a Midlife Crisis, which was also an off-Broadway play. I was in her anthology. I'm very happy about that. Writers on Depression, Suicide, and Feeling Blue. And there's just so much more. She was among the NextTribe Women of the Year in 2021, Women's E-News, 2019, 21 Leaders for the 21st Century. So, and Amy, if whoever is a Facebook follower here, she has just been a huge force for women empowerment. I would say just like human empowerment, really, for a long, long time. And Amy and I did a Q&A, which hopefully, if you haven't seen yet, you'll check out the Q&A on the NextTribe site and read that too. And that was it's always just wonderful to talk to Amy. And we did that like right before the latest horror shitstorm, let's say shitstorm times 20 or whatever you want to call it. So I think we need this now even more than ever. So Amy, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. Okay.
All right, but you know what, Sherry?
Because
Sherry,
yes.
I do want to say two things. I want to say that
Sure.
you came into my life at a time when I was really struggling with a couple of things. And when you wrote your piece for Shades of Blue, that was pretty profound for me. And you also came to Milford, and you came and you were on a panel, and you championed women. And I just want to say that that's the foundation of our relationship has always been the fundamental support of women, whether it was at Omega, whether it's just each one of us reaching out. And I think that that's something that's so vital. And and now I'm doing with Beth Brode and Lisa Luca, Wise
Right.
Women, Wise Words, which is so extraordinary to also recreate another community for women. So, you and I met out of our need to be in a community for women. And I just want to say that I thank you for continuously including me in your life.
Oh,
And Jeannie,
Liz.
who
and
is
vice
truly the
versa.
goddess
Yeah.
supreme. And, and we all love her madly.
So,
What is the name of your new group? Wise Women, Wise Words?
Yes, it's with Lisa Luca.
Oh, yeah, I know Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa and Beth Brode, two extraordinary human beings. And we created this community out of our need to have dialogues with women that we were talking about women, and actually it started with mothers and daughters, then it went into friendship, and the three of us really had these dialogues. And then we thought, oh, wait, we should do this. We should do this and, create a space for women to write and to talk and to share stories like NextTribe, like what Sherry does, like what most of the women here do. And it's been extraordinary. It is, to have a tribe, or as Lisa Luca loves to call it, a hive, which I love. Because now we have
without the stings. Yeah.
without the sting. Yeah, but she calls it a hive, which is incredible because bees nurture and feed, and and so it's wonderful. And I'm very fortunate that I've met so many incredible women, and a lot of them, Sherry, came from my relationship with you and Jeannie. Because you and I have known each other a long time. We have. And Jeannie, God, she's been our goddess. We're goddesses in training. She's,
No, I'm a goddess in training in Europe, but I just put down in the chat the Wise Women, Wise Words that you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie. Thank you.
Okay.
People can see
Hopefully
that.
I'll find the chat here at some point.
And I also just wanted to say hive is a great word. Maybe we'll call it next. We need to change the tribe and say hive. I love that.
Well, you've got to talk to Lisa Luca about that, because she.
Yeah, I know. I know. I see.
Does she have a copyright?
Lisa
Okay,
and Beth are here. So anyway.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So anyway, but
Oh,
I'll let you proceed, Sherry. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
I'm so glad they're here. And when I see JJ, y'all got to buy her book. Okay. And Melissa Giberson. Okay. So, there's a whole lot of books that you can all buy. Melissa Giberson's incredible book, right? Late Bloomer, and JJ's book. Oh my God. So many incredible women here. Yay.
And we all have to support one another, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So, okay.
Breathe.
Okay.
Let's talk about.
Yes. Well, I guess first and foremost, and anyone who knows you pretty much knows about Ken. Your husband of 31 years, and the fierce love you have for him, and also about his ongoing health struggles. And he's a bit up there in age. So I know that he was back at the doctor's today for a check-in after his latest. So how is he doing, and how are you doing in terms of that?
This is a good topic, Sherry, because I know that we've all are experiencing some health issues with friends and loved ones.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
all
Yes.
people in our lives. It has been hard. Ken is doing okay. He's actually doing okay. He's a trooper, and so he's doing okay.
Yes.
I do have to say that being a caretaker or caregiver was not something that I planned for. being a quasi selfish kind of chick, wanting to be taken care of a little bit. But I have to say that I said to him the other day, and I think I told you this when we had a conversation, that I was so grateful that I was able to take care of him, because it made me feel like I was rising to the occasion for someone else.
Right.
And I feel really grateful that I can do that. And I also have a lot of resentment.
Which is normal, human.
And I also have
bring
all
it
that
on, girl.
stuff. I also have all of that, to be really truthful, it's a mixed bag. But, we've been together 31 years, and I like him. I like him. He's a good man. And
He's a wonderful man. I mean, you just kind of, somewhat like meeting you, Amy. You instantly just make a person feel loved and connected. And just meeting Ken, it's kind of the same thing. Just accepting, bring who you are with you. That's all you got to do. Don't have to do anything else. So all our love to Ken, of course. So always.
I remember
Shay, my noisy dog, that's really his way of saying love to Ken. I wanted to.
Shay has had some stuff going on with Shay.
Well, Shay is doing very well. He had a boo-boo on his paw. He had to have like a nail removed, and the problem is that if we take the cone off, it's all healed. He just starts licking it. So thus the cone. So if somebody here speaks dog, and contact me later, and
oh my God, that is so adorable.
A psychic dog session or something like that.
I want to just ask. I was going to ask you a question, because I thought this was so honest, Amy, and that's one thing we can depend on you for. This idea of being a caregiver and admitting that resentment. I mean, I don't hear people talk about that. I think that's important, as so many of us are becoming caregivers or already are. How do you deal with that? What is, I mean, I've never heard people just say it and not apologize, not go in, try to make up for it, but it's such a real emotion.
I'm not going to apologize for, and Sherry and I did have this conversation. We did. And it was so wonderful, and it was so freeing to have that. But, and I do have to say that I've had this conversation with other girlfriends, Beth Brode and other, but I think it is important, Jeannie, that we talk about the truth of all of this. I wasn't, I've been with Ken 31 years, and I've gone through a lot with him, physically, and a lot of the resentment that I feel comes out. Oh, look, and there's Paul. A lot of the resentment is born out of my always feeling like I grew up really wanting to be taken care of. And I've realized for so many years that I really need to take care of me. And that's a shift. And it's why I write so much about women falling in love with their own lives and taking care of their own lives. You know, we don't do that enough. And when we don't do that, we have a lot of resentment, whether it's for our husbands, whether it's for friends, whether it's for people who come into our life and say, oh, can you do this for me? And you're feeling like, wait a second, I need to do this for me. And Sherry, you and I've had so many conversations about this. And really,
Well, the problem is
what
that
we did at
we
Omega.
turned it inward against ourselves, and then
Yes.
it just gets
So, yeah.
mushrooms and that's worse. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just to kind of rewind a little bit, Jeannie, Sherry and I did with Blair, we did an entire weekend at Omega many, many years ago about women standing in the world, writing their truth. And a lot of what came out of that weekend, how we don't take care of our own lives. And, you know, I can have resentment toward Ken and think, you know, fuck you. Why are you being sick today? And still love him.
Right.
And still take care of him. But I think where the resentment changes for me, Jeannie, is that I'm now taking better care of me. I think that,
And that's always so important, because if you don't take care of yourself, you don't have anything left for anybody else.
and then the
And so
resentment
many
really,
women, we have, such guilt, or just me, and you just feel like, well, isn't that my role? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? And you owe it to yourselves. We have just one life as far as we know. And if we don't open ourselves up to experience what we can experience and reach our full potential, it's a huge loss, not
it
just for
is.
us, but for what we could contribute.
It is. And I think that there's nothing wrong, by the way, with saying, oh my God, I have resentment, or oh my God. I think how we turn that into something good is what's important. I do resent that, now it's, like a continuum with Ken. And a lot of that comes from me feeling like, oh my God, I have so much I want to do and so much I want to write, and and I'm going to doctors and I'm doing all this stuff. But if I can turn that resentment into me replenishing my own life, then resentment into replenishment is really extraordinary. I just don't want to live with that. And Sherry, again, I'm going to give you a lot of credit, because I sat in with you during that time at Omega, and you were encouraging every one of us to transform what was not healthy, because you are a therapist, into something that became healthy for us. So I remember that was when, years ago, years and years, when I said, oh my God, I'm going to turn all my mistakes into my mission. And that room, that was the first time. But you and Blair and all the women that were there, we were encouraged to transform the worst experiences into something that we could use for other women to stand up for their life. And Beth Brode, I don't know if she's still here or not, but she has been my friend for 1,000 years, because we have had many lifetimes together, truly. And she's been such an advocate of turning poison into medicine, which is part of our Buddhist practice, but mostly about using our lives. What is in our life that causes us pain? And how can we transform that so someone else can stand in their life? And I know that Lisa did that with her book, which is extraordinary. So many of us are trying our best right now to take the worst of life and turn it into something so beautiful. so
And
many.
Amy, you and I have talked a lot about, we talked about it in our Q&A, and it's so many of us, we run from the pain because we don't want to feel it. It's uncomfortable, but it's really, the more you run, the more it sits inside you and festers and builds. So then if you're just shoving everything into a closet, eventually that closet is going to spring open and it's all going to just,
Oh my
fall
God,
down
and
on top of
all
your
of your
head.
shoes are going to come out, Sherry. All
Oh
of
my
your
God.
shoes. Holy
For the
cow. all
Imelda,
those
for the Imeldas among us.
shoes.
So, and I think it's about, like we talked a lot in our Q&A a few weeks ago about, how do we honor our pain and grow from it and embrace it instead of trying to push it in the closet that's gonna just land all of Imelda's shoes on top of our heads.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, because I know that this is something that you're also experiencing. You had a trip. I
Yeah.
know I want to have a dialogue about this because it's so important,
Oh,
because
thank you, Amy. Yeah.
you called me and we talked about this before all of this even came out. You're absolutely in the world talking about compassion and passion. Growing up in a family that was so frightened and devastated, but
I'm a child of Holocaust survivors. Thank you, Amy. Yeah. So what's going on now is particular.
you're also one of the more
Yeah.
even-keeled, compassionate humans. And so,
Yeah. And what Amy is talking about, which I really appreciate, is I was afraid that I would be disowned from a lot of my remaining family and friends. I went, and Paul was so sweet. He came with me. I went in May. It was the only reason why I went to Israel. I hadn't been there in like forever because I'm just so disgusted with the situation there and the government and all of that. But I went on what's called a dual narrative tour with a Palestinian guide and an Israeli guide. So that was a very powerful experience. And I wrote about it. I felt like blessed to actually get an assignment from Hadassah magazine on this, which is a Jewish women's magazine. And in another life, I actually worked for them for 8 months and hated it the whole time. But anyway, just because I just felt very stifled and in a box there. But plus their idea of a Hanukkah bonus, it was $18, which means life.
hi.
I was like, okay. But I was really so glad that the editor of Dasa was very brave, gave me an assignment to write about the trip, which is very brave of her. Even
Amazing.
so, I had to I had to tread very, very carefully, because I couldn't really be as honest and real as I felt, just seeing what was going on around me. So I just try to, as we all do, we have to share stories. And a lot of what we did was just meet a lot of people on both sides and
Right.
hear about a lot of groups like the Bereaved Parents Forum. Grief is grief, blood is blood. It's Israeli women and Palestinian women. I mean, if it was up to women, the situation would not be the way it was.
No,
But so I was there with this message, and Hadassah, published it, and I just felt so great, like I'm starting something. And then, we've seen what happens, and it's like everybody's got even back further into their separate corners. And I've been doing all these Zooms with a lot of the peacemakers on both sides who, I met, because it really is about when two people come to talk together side by side.
yes.
That's when you do hear each other's stories and you view one another as a human being. And like my the Palestinian guide. I mean, he grew up in East Jerusalem, but what he knew of Jews was non-existent. What he knew was that his brother was killed by them.
Oof.
What he knew was hate and being treated with scorn and horror and ghettoized. That's what he knew. And then he wound up his journey led him to a group called Combatants for Peace, which is former Israeli soldiers and also former Palestinian soldiers, because it really comes. And then once you see one another as a person, you just see it so differently. And what he did, his name is Osama, he wound up going to Israel because he felt he can't really understand. You don't understand until you walk a mile in the other one's shoes. And, and he went to Auschwitz. He went to Israel, he went to Poland and visited Auschwitz. And it's the other way around. I mean, my Jewish tour guide, he was, of course, in the army. They all just go in the army. And you don't know until he went on his transformation and his journey of realizing, oh my God, all we've done is hate each other, and we're really the same. We need to just dialogue and talk to each other. We're all people, because so much of it comes from fear and hopelessness. And when you keep boxing people in, if they have no hope, if you have no hope, what do you do? You hate. And then you will become violent. And that's where it starts. And then it just keeps blossoming. So yeah, talking is always, it's a wonderful thing. And listening is more powerful than talking. Because we have to listen. We have to open our ears.
We do. We have to open our ears. And I know that you wanted tonight to be very much about Mighty Gorgeous. I know that. You wanted it very much.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah.
No, but I think what we can do, because we have another half hour, is open a dialogue about how we as women can give hope. How we as women,
I love that.
Can generate more goodness. And I know Jeannie, I do, Jeannie has been a constant for so many of us. And Jeannie, I'm gonna do this, and so many of you know who Jeannie is and what she's done and what she's given us all. But I don't really need to talk about Mighty Gorgeous, but I do need to talk about how we women can inspire and encourage and ignite more generosity in each other. And I know, Sherry, that I knew when you and I were going to have this conversation tonight and Jeannie was going to be here, I knew that it didn't need to be about my book. My book is out in the world. I hope people read it. I hope people buy it. I hope it inspires them. But this is the kind of stuff, these conversations are what we need to have. How do we as women ignite hope? How do we as women speak and write our truth? Whether Jeannie, it's about resentment, or whether it's about igniting another, whether it's me talking on and on about JJ Elliott and how she is my queen. It's so important that we as women come together.
Well, I just want to say, we talked earlier about resentment, and I think that it plays into the larger picture. I mean, look at the resentments that are held so deeply. And if they could, it's just like you and Ken, and you having some resentments about Ken, but if they could just be talked, and you could address them, and you can look at them and approach the other person as a human, and recognize your own humanity and your own flaws, and all the things that you talk about in the book about, embracing your messy self, your flaws and all. If it could be writ large on a bigger stage, it'd be extraordinary. and just say, we aren't perfect. We aren't, as a country, America, we're not perfect, but we're trying. And what can we do? How can we be better? And I think so. What you've talked about you want to dismiss your book, and I'm going to.
Oh, I don't want to dismiss it.
But I'm saying, but it's what I'm saying. It is a huge part of what we're talking about right here. Is this
I mean, I think that we're talking about this is totally in the spirit of the book.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
and we're in community here, and look, 2x2, 10x10 community. And the community of women, and Amy and I, we've talked a lot about this.
And a
true
hive.
sisterhood.
A hive. Thank you, Lisa Luca.
A hive. I love the
hive of women.
Yeah. Forming true hives of real sisterhood and compassion, and moving that forward, because I think it has to ultimately come from us. It does.
It
just does.
It does.
And I do remember, Sherry, you were you instigated after the election the whole idea. We've got women who were on the right and women who are on the left, and we're like, how are we going to heal? And women are going to lead the way. And I still believe that women can lead the way, but it's just, can we ever get our chance to really be the leader?
And the idea of that, and I think I was wearing my like little chemo.
Yes, you were. You were wearing your chemo hat.
I was going through cancer treatments. But it was a really important thing to do. So what we did was we had, and it's still on the NextTribe website, and I wrote about it too for the NextTribe website. It was 3 women who were Democrats and 3 who were Republicans. And this was right after Biden was elected, right after. And it was very hard. I really worked hard to pick participants who would be open, at least to some extent, to hearing the other, because so much of the time we're just talking at each other. Everybody's in their silos. You all just read what you want to read, and you just select your truth and stick to it. So, I mean, it was a draining evening. it was interesting.
Sherry, you are so adorable. You really are.
Well,
a draining evening, but we all got something out of it.
I would like to hear, people, all of you here talking about that. What can we do? What is some real thing that can happen?
Yeah.
The people who are here, what are you wanting to accomplish, or what have you done to approach this? It'd be great to, I'm opening that up.
And really, truly, put your hand up, or, unmute yourself. And I want to say this one more time, because Sherry is not only a really great friend of mine, but she's a really brave woman. That how you approached going to Israel, how you, as a child of Holocaust survivors, how you went there wanting to talk about, what can we do? How can we come together? And I think more than ever, we women need to do that. And I say to you, thank you for initiating that. Thank you for being a woman of incredible integrity. Thank you for coming home and then this happening and you feeling, I can't say anything. And now here we are, and you can. It's
so lovely to have a place where it feels safe to say it.
And that's the whole thing. How do we create safe, I know that Lisa and Beth and I are trying to do that with, everything that we're doing, and all of you are doing this, and Jeannie has been doing it since she's 14. But how do we create spaces that are safe, where we can share? When I can talk about feeling resentment for Ken, I couldn't say this on another Zoom. But Jeannie, you make me, you give me that kind of, and that, that kind of space where I don't feel shame, or I don't feel that I'm going to be vilified for speaking my truth. I can love somebody and still feel like, oh, wow,
Right. Well,
I need to take care of me. How do I do both? You know, and how do
And
we
I
do?
think just another question to, it's when your truth on some very volatile, hot issues are maybe not someone else's truth. How can we
Yes.
still come together
How
in
can we still
community
come?
and respect the other
So I'm
and
going to
open
do
our
something
ears?
I don't do ever. I'm going to ask JJ. JJ, are you here? Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that people are supposed to be asking me questions, but I put you in the category of you're my altar.
Uh,
Oh
Can
my
you talk
gosh.
a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was toying with the idea of the raising my hand. So thank you, Amy. The reason I wanted to raise my hand about this is that I write a lot and talk a lot about suicide, as it's something that I've experienced, and it's the only thing that really helps people in suicidal crisis is talking. And I've worked the hotlines, and it's a safe space for them to just talk about something that very few other people are willing to and strong enough to listen to that, because it gets very scary for other people to talk. So to your point, it's exactly what we're doing right here. It's the talking and having the conversations that other people might want to shy away from, that is gonna bring the healing for whatever that healing needs to be, whether it's political, whether it's mental health. And so I'm just like, I'm blown away by this community and by this conversation. And I really do think it's like that talking is the only answer. And that's why women are so important, because we do this really well, and we aren't scared to say the hard things and to have the hard conversations. So that would be what I would say about it.
Okay, so JJ, I'm going to ask you this. When you say we women, that we're wired for this, why do you think, what has changed in the last 10, 15 years where we've become more wired? Because your book flattened me, and it made me, and you know how I feel about you, and you know that I love you, and I know, and all of that. But what makes us different now than we were 15 or 12 years ago or 10 years ago? Because 10 years ago, you wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah. I think people are having communications and conversations about mental health that just wasn't happening before. I think the stigma is not gone by any stretch of the imagination, but it's getting better. I think that we're talking a lot more about hormonal shit and what that does to our mental health and our physical health, which has just been ignored for the entire history of womanhood. I think that I actually really think that the fact that our entire world went through a mental health crisis together in COVID has opened up a lot of minds to having conversations that they might, like before it was kind of like an other person's problem, or, oh, well, they must be going through something, but it's like all literally went through this, and we talked about how difficult it was, and, you know, mentally and physically. So I don't know if there's just like an answer, but I just think that there's a comfort level with the subject that hasn't been around before. And thank God, because it's really the only thing that will, like I said, that it's the only medicine that has been proven to work.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
and I have to say, I've never think about it that way, but that the whole world went through a mental health crisis together. I mean, that is profound. But JJ, let me write the name of your book in the chat.
Oh, I'm writing it right now. There
Oh,
aren't
okay.
rules for this. And
Thank you guys. That's so sweet. This is
oh,
not.
Oh my God. You know, JJ, we're here for each other.
Yep.
Well, look, I've got your book right here sitting next to me.
Well, you know, we do this for each other, but you know,
I
tonight,
just wanted to throw in, and when COVID did happen, it didn't mean that people weren't already suffering and going through all the mental health issues, the anxiety, the depression, the stress, the PTSD of their daily lives and their worlds. And then COVID came on top of that. It wasn't like everybody
Absolutely.
was already walking
Absolutely.
around like, yay, howdy doody time. So it just added so much more, you know. And then all the political crap and discord and around it was certainly not something healing. So I think it shows a lot for all of us here that we're still here, we're standing, and just being committed to, well, kindness, acceptance, understanding, listening, sharing, you know.
And Amy, you know your cat's on there, but maybe you do know that.
Oh, no, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I just didn't
I
know.
love Molly.
Your cat's on here.
I love your
Yeah.
cat. But I did want to ask this, because this is something that I feel like, I mean, you talk about how to love yourself. I mean, how to fall in love with yourself. And I do think that is important to talk about as the basis for everything else that we're hoping women can accomplish, is that idea of it all starts with being accepting of yourself. It's hard to be accepting and open to others if you don't love yourself. I really believe that, because you're guarded, or you're somebody's got something that you don't, or you're jealous, or you're resentful, whatever. So I think you really boiled it down to this idea of you need to fall in love with yourself and embrace. And I've always loved this about you, that you talk about our messy lives. We're messy people, and it's okay. It's just so human to be messy and maybe contradict ourselves or whatever. All of that is just part of it. And that's the part that I just want to dig my teeth into. It's so good.
You know, Jeannie,
I just want to suggest something. Maybe we should just all, after this Zoom, share pictures of our messy closets, because mine are.
Sherry, you can go ahead and do that. I refuse. I absolutely refuse.
I don't think I'd be brave enough to do it. I'm all talk.
You
I'll
know,
go to the Middle East, but I won't do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Sherry, that's kind of brilliant. You'll go to the Middle East, but you won't share your messy closet. Okay, that's another piece that you need to run. You know.
So anyway, you were saying, Amy, you were saying.
I think that I fell in love with me because of my messy. And I think, Jeannie, we've all kind of known each other a while, Jeannie and Sherry and me, we've known each other a while. I fell in love with me when my family became estranged. I fell in love with me when all of the things that I had kind of heard about me from other people didn't kind of match what I was feeling about me. I think that everything about my life, the good, the bad, the messy, the awful, I did a lot of horrible shit when I was a young girl. I did. I slept with a lot of guys. I, remember taking money out of my dad's, wallet when I was 13 and 14. I wanted to be loved. And I think when you want so much to be loved, you'll do so much just to get that attention. And I don't ever want to do that again. But that little girl, that girl who felt like she wanted so much to be seen in the world, that little girl who, whose family was kind of collapsing. And Jeannie, you know this whole story. I think that those little girls need to be honored and loved and given a real pat on the back, because they didn't know any better. all I knew is that I wanted to belong. I wanted to be included. I wanted so much to be a part of something. And I think now that I look back on who I was when I was a little girl, I think, oh my God, if I saw her today, I would just wrap my arms around her and say, oh, come live with me. Come. I got a lot of closet space. And I think the thing too about our closets, I got shit in my closet that I will never wear again in my fucking lifetime. I mean, I have a wedding gown that I had made that was a size 4. Sherry, you're hiding. I could tell you're hiding. That is a size 4 by, I want to give it to somebody. I want to give it to a young woman who will love and value not only wearing that dress, but know what it took for me to get that dress. And that dress is probably worth a good 15 or 20 grand right now because it's all hand beaded and it's like, wow. But no, seriously, but I wish that we can all go back and see ourselves as these young women, whether and JJ knows this, I tried suicide when I was 14. And I think we are so deeply afraid of being who we really are in the world. And I think what happens is we come out in every single way, whether it's sexually, whether it's emotionally, whether it's, in a relationship, Jeannie, like you did. That takes a lot of brave, especially in the world we live in, because we're criticized and vilified for being who we are. I want all women, seriously, truly, deeply, all women to step into who they are meant to be and not feel like they should be silenced or quieted or shushed or, it took a real long time for me to fall in love with me. But now, if you don't love me, fuck you. Now, if you don't love me, don't come in my life. You're not going to get pieces of me. And, Sherry, I know you're nodding, and I keep saying this because you and I have a history together. You were very instrumental in sharing your story when we were at Omega. You were there telling a group of 25 women, don't sell yourself short. And those women stopped selling themselves short. If I want you to love me, then I want you to love who I am, not who I think you need to love. And I will say to every woman here, and that, we're not for rent. We're not for rent. We're not for rent. You either get the total of us or you don't. We don't need women in our lives or friends who
or family.
Or family. We can talk about estrangement or family who don't appreciate who we are. Who we are is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it took us a really
fucking
long
A.
time. And it took us a long time to get here.
But I have to say, Amy, that, or I have to ask, you're so generous and loving towards others. Did that grow out of you falling in love with yourself? Did it all happen at the same time? You're so generous and giving, and I mean, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt. I'm saying that you really are generous and extending to others just grace, and I wonder if it comes from the same place that you love yourself.
Jeannie, I think that it's kind of like a combination. You know, when I grew up in a family, specifically with a mother who did not love and nurture me. And I remember very, very specifically as a young woman thinking, my God, I never want to be this person. I never want to love conditionally. So that was, you know, part of it. And I happen to adore, and this is not bullshit, I love championing women. My friend Melissa Giberson, she is probably one of the most generous women I have met in my life in the last 20 years. I mean, she took care of me when Ken was in the hospital. You know, it's so easy to love back.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't take a whole lot for us to say, oh my God, I want JJ's book to be out in the world and huge, or Lisa Luca's book about her relationship with her father, you know, which is such an important book in the world we're living in. You know, we need to support each other. We need to highlight and encourage and light each other. You know, we need to ignite each other's life. It doesn't take anything away from me. Like tonight, you know, I know this was supposed to be about Mighty Gorgeous, but everyone came here because of that. So I kind of feel like, wow, I get to do something, you know, because tonight was about that. You all came because of Mighty Gorgeous. I don't need to talk about Mighty Gorgeous, but I need to talk about each one of you who are here, who also needs encouragement and also needs to be lifted and also needs to be championed. I am of the belief that if we lift each other, you know, Sherry has lifted me for years and years. Jeannie, you gave me a fucking award. Excuse me. Excuse me. You know, you
But
gave
there was no money associated with it. Sorry.
No, but how we lift each other, how we champion each other, how we make each other know that, you know, how we shine a light on each other, you know,
And I
to me,
think it's
everything.
I think
That's
it's so
everything.
important what you just said about it doesn't take anything away from you to acknowledge and lift up another person who's doing something. And I think there's, you know, there's that tendency to like think that it's a zero, life's a zero-sum game.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like if you get something, that means that you've missed out on something, but it's not. It's all out there, and we all benefit.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, the more we get outside ourselves versus just in our own little tunnel, the more space there is to just be in the world and boost others. And the more we do that, we're also boosting ourselves. I mean,
Oh my
everything
God, without a
ultimately
doubt.
is about
Without a
that.
doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. You know, we are so, it's so hard for us to do that for whatever reason. Sherry, you're going to Israel. When you went, and then you came back, and you were going to write this incredible piece, and then all of a sudden everything just exploded, but you didn't change how you feel about what went down. You're just feeling more reticent about writing about it because of the world we're living in.
Well, actually, no, I'm getting, because what else can happen? I mean, I felt it was a good opening to write that piece for Hadassah, even though I had to be very antiseptic about it. And now I am, yeah. And now I'm writing other things which are more my real truth.
And I
I
have
guess.
to say, Sherry just sent me, and I just started reading it. It's fabulous. So look for it in the future. I mean, next week, about your experiences with what's going on, which is just like
mind blowing.
Yeah,
Mind blowing.
mind blowing. It's so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherry. I mean, so yes,
Yeah.
I'm so impressed by what you're putting out there, because I know in this environment, as you said, it's very,
It's
fragile
very
time.
scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary, and it silences us. And I have to be careful on Facebook. Okay, I have to block these people. And Pam Grossman, who was here, is the one who gave me that wonderful suggestion. I said, well, I can't really be honest because people are going to gang up on me, which has happened, you know. So I've learned, you know, speaking of not being a tech whiz, I've learned how to block a few people. And even then, there are certain places where I can really be honest, and other places where not so honest. But the more we speak out, and you know, I just did a Zoom earlier with an Israeli journalist and Palestinian peacemaker who co-founded the group that I went with. And it really is about what we have to do is come together. Because what is happening is that we're getting more silenced and more siloed and more vilified and more othered.
Yes,
You know,
more othered. That's a
yeah.
brilliant way to say it, more othered.
So what he was suggesting at the end of the Zoom was basically, it's like, we can't solve everything, but just kind of be there, like out yourself with someone else who is an other in a ways, and just be there together, support one another. And I think it all comes from that. And yeah, I've been very scared to, you know, bust the door open even a little bit, but we kind of have to do it, or everything's going to always stay the same.
Yeah.
We do have to do that, Sherry.
Yeah.
I
That's
feel
why
like
we
could
need
talk.
I
feel like we could
Yeah.
talk forever, and I do feel like there's so much that we've covered, so much ground, but there's so much still to talk about. But I just want to make sure people who are here, I want you to hear your voices. If you have, we can't forget Mighty Gorgeous, a little bit book about about messy love. Sorry. But I'd like it to people, anybody here who wants to add something that hasn't, that it's important. We're all talking about the importance of sharing. So please don't be shy. If there's something you want to add, even if it's just to applaud what's going on, Beth.
see Beth is waving. Yeah.
You know, the advent of technology and the connectedness that technology has afforded us helps us not be so isolated and so alone. Okay, Sherry, I don't know when you went to Israel. Okay, what year did you go?
In May.
She just
Oh, in
went.
May.
A few
Okay,
months ago.
okay.
Yeah.
She just went. She just went.
Okay, all right. No, I understand. Okay, but this is relatively new. The ability to connect on Zoom and to be able to connect on social media. And this has now allowed everybody to try to have a say and express their feelings and join groups and hives, okay, in communities where we wouldn't know any of these people. You can put a community together online and you can attract so many women. Okay, we wouldn't have a place to do that or to express that if we didn't have the technology that we have. So I personally, I think, as horrible as COVID was, I think it was a bit of a blessing because people have learned to connect and communicate, in Zoom, which is not as great as being in person, but nonetheless,
absolutely.
it allows us to build community around the things that Amy is talking about. Okay, otherwise, we would just be alone in our houses. So I think it's fascinating to look at it, in that.
It is, and it's fascinating to hear because you hear both sides. Like technology is torn us apart and or kept us isolated. But you're saying, and I think the other side is yes, there's very valid benefits too.
Right. I mean, how else would you read Amy's posts,
Yeah.
when you get up in the morning? How else would you be in communication with her? Okay. It's just a fascinating concept that women can come together in a hive, okay, and be able to support each other, and we can see each other, we can talk to each other. I just think the whole thing is fascinating.
And also, and do kind of what you're talking about, Amy and Sherry, this kind of talking through things. We have opportunity to talk through these some hard issues that maybe we wouldn't if we are in our own little family or unit or whatever, that we don't hear from people with such divergent views. So I think we should be using this technology as much as possible for
Oh,
good
without a
life.
doubt. I think more than ever.
So maybe Sherry, we should do a regular series of this kind of inviting people with different parts, different views on a certain
Yeah.
subject, and try to find the common
To
ground.
have a safe space, a safe space to come and share how they feel and learn there is no other. There's just different
Okay,
sides
so
of ourselves.
I'm going to make a
But-
suggestion, because Lisa and Beth and I are doing Wise Women. Maybe maybe we can combine our forces and do something,
Oh,
because
That'd be great.
we're doing something once a month. And, so maybe what we can do is combine our energy and create something that is a safe space for many women. Our next, we're doing something in November about estrangement, which is,
Yeah.
hot topic for me and Sherry, and for Lisa and Beth. But maybe we can figure out how to create something, and combine forces.
I would love to let's talk about this. So look at this.
About
Look
this.
at all
That'd be
the
great.
good stuff
Yeah.
that's come out of this
Yeah.
conversation. I mean, it really is just boundless good. that
Boundless
comes-
beauty.
and
Boundless
boundless
beauty.
beauty, and
Boundless
all
beauty.
of its.
Let's do that. Let's
Yes.
figure out how to create something so that,
That sounds like a wonderful idea. And it gives you a feeling of, at least I'm doing something. I am making that effort, because all of our small steps, eventually we will travel the globe. It really is.
Exactly.
If you just think about everything that's going on, the initial thought, certainly for me, is I just want to go to bed and like put the covers over my head,
me too.
and that's it. But everything is about one step at a time. I'm still going to get out of bed. All right, I'm not necessarily always going to take a shower, but I'll be better about that.
That's
But
funny.
it's you have to do these small steps and the routine and the self-nurturance of it to give you the emotional sustenance to then bring it forward.
The other
Because
piece,
this gives me strength. This gives me strength.
Yes.
and I do want to say that the more that we all come together and combine forces, because, we're doing something with Wise Women, Wise Words. And Sherry and I have been doing something for 14 years. We need to come together. We
Yeah.
need to create a community where if we're doing something, then let's all come together for that. If you're
Yes.
doing something, let's all come together for that. Let's make a space so that all women can be heard. So
Right.
let's make a space so that all women can share their stories. And, Jeannie, I just want to tell you, Ken heard me talking about resentment, and he texted me. This is what he texted me. Are you okay with this? He texted me and said, I love that you're talking about this. This makes me
Yay.
feel so profoundly loved.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that sounds like Ken. Yeah.
Ins-
Oh,
But what a big man in all sense of the word, because
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
could be like, what are you talking about? You know?
I know, but he loves that I talk about that.
Mm,
He loves that I talk about my truth.
yeah,
And when I say to him, oh my God, I feel so resentful, he gets it.
yeah.
He totally, completely gets it. And
Wow.
so you're asking me that question made him love me more and
Yeah.
better.
oh, love
No,
that.
and I think that that's something
Oh.
that we all need to talk about.
Yeah.
We're so afraid to talk about what we're going through
Yeah.
because we think, oh my God, that person is, or, you know, and a lot of people are going to leave our lives, but they weren't meant to be in our lives anyway.
Yeah.
Right, Lisa?
And we all serve a purpose in one another's lives. And it's good to like look at it in the long run from what was the message? Why was this person in my life? What have I learned?
Yeah.
You know, and how can I
And
bring
Cheryl,
that
we need
that
to have these
forward?
conversations.
Yeah.
We do.
I love
You
that.
know,
And I
And
think also just the more multidimensional that we can be to be able to invite those who maybe feel like othered, you know, I mean, to get
othered.
others into the space, hopefully little by little, who, you know, don't feel wanted or included or, you
okay,
know.
I'm gonna suggest, say, we've run out of time, unfortunately.
Yes, we have.
That you've given so much of yourself, and I appreciate it more than you can ever know. But we recorded this, and we're gonna send everybody a link to the recording, and we're going to talk about ways to do this more regularly.
Pam.
And thank you to Beth, and to suggest kind of putting that
Lisa,
idea
to Beth
on
and Lisa.
and Lisa, everybody, you guys all, everybody contributes, and so, but look for an email with the link to this, and I think you'll really enjoy watching it again, because there's so much to process, right? But
No, I feel empowered, and I've been feeling just so fucked up because we haven't used that word enough yet here. So
I love that. Just so fucked up, because no, we have not used that word enough. We have not used fucked up enough.
oh my
I
God.
love you.
so yeah, so this was
Thank you,
wonderful,
everyone,
wasn't
for
it?
coming. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Sherry. Sherry, I'll
Thank
talk to
you,
about your piece. It's
Jeannie.
wonderful.
Thank you as always, Jeannie. Thank you.
you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.